What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in Croatia that really doesn't fit into its surroundings? Several years ago, I was in the historic town of Vinkovci in the east of Croatia, which has heritage dating back 8,300 years. It's actually claimed to be the oldest continuously inhabited town in Europe. And right in the middle of Vinkovci, in the historic centre, I saw a London red telephone box. And I was like, what the hell is that doing here? My curiosity led me onto a very, very strange journey, which just got only more interesting as I went along. It turns out that the red telephone box was there because of an English guy from Leeds called Steve Gaunt, who came in 1991 as a volunteer to fight for Croatia. He ended up staying, he got wounded, and he got married and had 6 children. And he's been in Vinkovci now for over 30 years. And one of the things he did was he decided he wanted to have his own little piece of land, his own little piece of England. He's very, very patriotic about his homeland. And he bought a little piece of land in the middle of nowhere, near the village of Andriaševci, near Vinkovci. And there he built the only authentic English pub in eastern Croatia. It's called the White Boar. It has everything, the pub sign, you go in there, it has the pewter tankards above the bar, it has photographs of Queen Elizabeth, it's got cricket balls, it's got a really, really authentic English pub feel. And so the first time I went there for a drink was actually on November the 18th. November the 18th is the historic day in Croatian recent history. It's the fall of Vukovar, which was brutally sieged for 87 days by the Serbs in 1991. And every year on November the 18th, this is commemorated. Every year, Steve and all the foreign volunteers who fought, they come together for the Vukovar parade, and they walk through there together and they remember. And afterwards, they all come to the White Boar for a barbecue. To be standing there in a field in the middle of nowhere, in an English pub, with all these war veterans was just one of the most astonishing experiences of my time in Croatia. Steve and I then became friends, and he told me the story of why there is a Welsh telephone box in Vinkovci. He said that he was working after the war as a helper for these aid organisations bringing aid work from the UK. Towards the end of it, they said, Steve, you've been really, really helpful. Is there any way we can say thank you? Can we send something as a gift on the last shipment? And he said, oh, send me please a barrel of my favourite beer from Yorkshire. That would be fantastic. And if you can't do that, I don't know, send me a London telephone box. And that was it. And then 4 months later, he got a phone call. And the phone call said, the telephone box is on the way. And he said, what telephone box? He said, you ordered a telephone box. We've spent £2,500 renovating it, making it look lovely. He says, what am I going to do with a telephone box? And when are you coming? He says, in about 2 hours. So he had about 2 hours to find a home for this telephone box. And it turned out that there was a spot in Vinkovci, which was already connected to the grid and so on. And so the mayor of Vinkovci said that he would host this telephone box. And that's why we have a red telephone box from Cardiff in the middle of Vinkovci, the oldest inhabited town in Europe. And Steve's stories are absolutely fascinating. And I was very, very privileged a few months ago to go and spend the weekend in his pub. And we recorded a podcast, which you can see on our Total Croatian News YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the comments below. Quite gruesome detail of how he was wounded when he stepped on a mine, and he ended up having to pull his toe off on the way to the hospital.
A routine patrol in a new area. We really shouldn't have gone. Now I think about it, in retrospect, obviously we shouldn't have gone. But we did. The 3 of us, one was killed, one lost his leg, and I lost my foot. Took us 3 hours to crawl back to our lines. We had to leave the dying guy. And we eventually made it. They put us in, we didn't wait for an ambulance. So of course, we'd been out for an hour and a half, and then 3 hours back, 4.5 hours. It's a hot day, 6th of June. It's humid. I was thirsty. So we were in this Spinflower driving to the hospital, and the commander's crying, and Tero was in a lot of pain. He's screaming and carrying on. I wasn't in any pain at all. Shock had closed blood flow off, which is what shock's for. So I wasn't bleeding or anything, The foot's not there, simple as that. I actually took a toe off because it was hanging off and put it in my pocket in case I could put it back on later. Which of course they couldn't. They just chopped the whole thing off.
It's not here at some of the pubs, is it?
Well, it's funny that I thought you might ask about that. There you go. And they will be past the bar, and I said, stop. He says, what? I said, could you get us a couple of beers, please?
It's a fascinating story. Very, very interesting guy, and I highly recommend it.